Today at Free Field Training, we're going to talk about a hidden danger of being overweight that I don't think a lot of people consider when they consider the medical problems with being overweight. Now, I've struggled with my weight my entire life, and I would not be the model that I think you should, judge yourself by of whether or not you're healthy. But there are very serious safety concerns with being very overweight. And by very overweight, I mean people that are in the 300, 350, 400 pound plus club. We're going to get to that in a second. Before we get into it, there's lots of stuff coming up on the channel. Later today, I intend to release a video on a pair of duty boots from Equinoxx. It's the Black Eagle Tactical 2.0 Gore-Tex side zip duty boots. They're pretty cool. I've been wearing them for a while. You've seen them on Instagram. If you follow me over there, there's a link down to the Instagram down below. Also coming up on the channel, I have this jacket. This is a hoodie from 221B. 221B makes like a whole clothing line and duty gloves and stuff like that designed for law enforcement. So this hoodie has a lot of interesting features that are kind of law enforcement specific, and I'm going to get into those more in the future. It is fairly expensive, but if you check on out down below, there's a coupon code for 10% off of it. Go over to that link, check it out. If you like it, use that coupon code. I think it's FFT10, and you can get 10% off the total price. So it's kind of like tax-free. I also think they do free shipping for every order, which is kind of cool. The jacket has a bunch of pockets like this one that you can put an RFID tag in, and they're waterproof. It's kind of cool. They sent this to me about a month ago now. And it's got a big, and I mean big, like all the way down to my side over here, big enough to set a set of their needle-resistant gloves in, which I'm also going to be testing live in the future. So follow me over on Instagram so you can catch that live. If not, we're going to get the video up. I'm going to dual record it, so do it live on Instagram and then post it up on YouTube. But if you want to see it live, follow me over on Instagram. Turn your notifications on, all that jazz, so that way you can follow all of that. So here's the problem with being really, really, really obese that nobody thinks about. People talk about heart disease, and they talk about the problems with your bones and your back and your knees and all of that. What they don't talk about is physically getting you out of your house and to the hospital if something happens to you. Imagine you're 300, 350, 400 pounds, and you start choking. And now you're in the second floor of a building, and somebody calls 911 and they start doing the Heimlich maneuver on you, but it's not coming out. So now the two paramedics show up and they have to carry you out. And nobody tells on 911, here's something to think about if you ever have to call 911 for this. If it's a big old boy, tell them up front so they can send an engine with them, or they can call out the volunteer fire department. And that's another issue is you get a firefighter paramedic is a very different thing in a circumstance where you have to carry somebody out of a house in a hurry, get them in the ambulance, get them to the hospital, than say like two EMTBs in a private ambulance who have never had to do anything physical in their whole life to get a job. That's a very big difference. There's a huge difference between, the XYZ fire department that runs EMS and has two firefighter paramedics and an engine coming, and everybody's just kind of sitting around waiting for that call, and a private ambulance company when you've got two people straight out of college or straight out of EMT school with minimal equipment and a van that show up when you're choking to death, and they can't even pick you up and scoop you and take you to the hospital. You're having a heart attack or a stroke or whatever else, that they have to move you fast, and you're not mobile on your own. Something very serious to think about, especially if you're in that 350, 400, 450 pound range. You start getting up to that, you're waiting, best case scenario, with a professional fire department for the paramedics to get there, the engine to get there, and for 6 dudes to carry you out of the house. Worst case scenario, you get some private ambulance company that they send 2 people out and they're calling the volunteer fire department. The volunteers are coming from God knows where. I'm not saying they don't try to do a really good job and get there fast, but let's be honest. I've seen private ambulance companies take 20 minutes to respond in the city because they're down at the hospital on something and they're the only ambulance available. So now they're driving there, and then once they get there, then they realize they need more help. They're calling the volunteer fire department. They're maybe 5 to 10 minutes away, best case scenario. They show up. Now you're 30 minutes before you even get your butt into the van, basically, that they're bringing to take you to the hospital to get you to definitive care. And it's something I don't see people talk about when they talk about problems with obesity. They always talk about your health and wellness and all that. I've seen people choke and then just not be able to get somebody out of a house. Not to mention the like people choking, it takes 20 minutes for the ambulance to get there. But if when the ambulance gets there, they can't move you because you're too big, that is no good at all. So that is a really short free field training for today. I'm going to go to the top. We're going to take a couple comments and questions. You guys are interested in anything about the jacket or the gloves while I have them here, or my coffee cup while I have it here, feel free to ask them, or if you've got any comments or questions on the private ambulance thing and people that are too heavy to move, throw those in there. We're going to get to all of them, and then I'm going to sign off. I got to go to work in like 20 minutes. Sorry about the shaking phone. It's on a tripod on my dash. I need a new phone. What's up? Not a whole lot. Tay007 says, wait, who's he talking to when the live just started? The problem on my end, I don't know if you've ever lived on YouTube before, is that there's a delay. It tells me I'm live before the stream actually starts going out. So I try to remember to give it like a 5-second count, but I don't want to give it too much because then people are sitting there like, why is he standing there staring at the camera? That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of a fine balancing act. I'm sorry if I was a little early to starting to talk this time. Zingo Mario says, getting ready to go to the academy. Cool, awesome. Randall says, eating a double cheeseburger while watching this. Hey, you can have a double cheeseburger. I love double cheeseburgers. I just had a Frappuccino yesterday for lunch at work, but everything in moderation, right? I think I'm way overweight. I'm way heavier than I should be. But I would have very serious concerns about the ability of, two 22-year-olds that weigh 110 pounds apiece carrying me down a flight of stairs to the hospital if I was joking. And that's something that kind of plays in the back of your head if you see it a couple times. And Randall, I know you've seen that. You guys had that company in that place that you used to work, right? The private company that did the ambulance. Show like 15, 20 minutes to show up late at night. No? Pierce R 1996 says, hey Tommy, what are your thoughts on advanced first aid trauma care for frontline cops? Stay safe from the UK. We did that here for a while. There's a couple towns near me that required everybody to be EMTs and have jump bags with them. And it wasn't really ever used because in most circumstances when their police are coming to a call, what they need is an extra couple pair of hands, or we wouldn't have the stuff to deal with the big emergency. So like if it's a big emergency, like you need somebody to do CPR, all cops need to have basic first aid training. Need to know how to use trauma equipment, and they need to know how to do CPR, use an AED, use a fire extinguisher, like learn how to hook it into the car so it doesn't discharge in the trunk, for one. You know who you are. But they need to know how to use a fire extinguisher effectively to like tamp down a car fire if somebody's stuck in it, that type of thing, or to put out a fire in a field or a backyard or something when it's small before it gets stupid big. But going beyond that, EMTB paramedic stuff, and it isn't always a good thing, especially in an urban area. Again, I can't speak to very rural areas. It might make more sense to have full-fledged paramedics as cops. I know some towns do. They have firefighter paramedic cops. They have public safety officers, and not like the security guard type, actual public safety officers who are cross-trained across those things. That might be a good thing for them. But it's not what we do here, and I haven't really found it to be useful. We've got one guy in my department that's a paramedic. It's nice having him around, but I don't know about having everybody do that. There's lots of specialties we need to fill, and there's a lot of school time to keep up those certifications. Hope that answers the question. Mr. Fusion says, big belly and white beard while being a cop. Well, I don't have a white beard yet. It's my concern. I really don't. That's why I always tell people, listen, you got to do something, right? The problem people have in police work is they give up. They just stop doing. They stop exercising, and they blow up like a balloon, and then it's, well, we talk about, well, is that person going to be able to carry that guy? Well, here's the problem. If that guy is 450 pounds without all his gear on, I'm not going to be able to carry him. It doesn't matter how good a shape you're in, you're not going to be able to carry him. Not alone. 400-pound guy, two people, very hard pressed to pick that person up and move him in an emergency. Zingo Mario says, just roll him down the stairs. No. Nicholas O'Brien says, seen the special bariatric rigs? I don't know what that is, but okay. William Ingalls has apparently been there before, says, especially if you live on an upper floor without an elevator. Yeah, the stair chair is okay for 1 or 2 floors, but you start talking 5 floors up and the elevator's broken in your apartment building, That gets to be quite a bit. In a stair chair with a 350-pound person, now you got to put them on that stair chair to even get them down the stairs. We're trying to do it on a stretcher, like put the stretcher in a chair's position and get them down the stairs. And our stretchers here, they just got electric ones, like the power operated ones. Can't even fold them like that. You have to put them on the stair chair. So you have this little tiny chair trying to get down the stairs with this big person on. How do you get them on that chair? Now you're talking two paramedics, 2 cops, and 6 guys from the engine trying to like arrange you on this chair and carry you down the stairs. That's not a quick process. If you've ever moved a refrigerator, that's what it's like moving a 350-pound man off a 3rd floor apartment. Imagine. Sedan 5770 says, great point. Hope you have a good shift today. Me too. Getting there in a few minutes. What are you drinking today? Just water. Heavily caffeinated earlier, though. Chivos Adventure says, how much do you weigh? 200 pounds. But I'm only 5'2". I mean, I work out, but I'm only 5'2" and I'm 200 pounds. I think that's too much. James Washer says, don't forget the weight limit for light flight helicopters is very low. I had no idea. That's a good point. Sedan 57 Chevy says, same concerns apply to being able to get people out of vehicle windows in a traffic accident or having to use a window in the case of main doors being blocked in a fire. Very true. That makes a lot of sense. Patrick Scott says, we had a couple SWAT medics come in and do some gunshot trauma training. 2 weeks later, we had an officer shot in the leg, and we credited them with keeping him calm and giving him the care we needed. Awesome. Nick Costello says, do you know the Naperville ladies? No, I have no idea what that's in reference to. Do I want to know the Naperville ladies? Justin, we might get to that in another video. I think I actually have a video on what you're talking about. Elliot, last name, says, once you get to 600 pounds, most hospitals can't put you in x-ray machines. My hospital would send people to the zoo once they get that big. That's rough, man. The area that I'm living in the south side of Chicago, we have pretty well-stocked trauma centers, so I can't imagine you'd have to send someone to a zoo. That seems really terrible. But I could see that being a problem with like MRI machines and stuff, being able to just physically fit a person into the machines in order to get a proper medical diagnosis. VTech Rose says he's 6'1" and 215 pounds and runs and all that. Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable for your height. What I'm saying is when you're, like, you start pushing 300 pounds, man, like 200 pounds, 2 large men could pick you up and move you in an emergency. Right? At 300, that gets real hard. And at 400, not for very far, not even probably for a few feet. And that's the reality of carrying just like dead weight, trying to get it out of somewhere. Randall says hoarder houses are the worst. Can't even get 2 people around the person needing help. I've been there too. Shive Adventure says, I thought you had to be over 5'9" tall to be a cop. Is that just a myth? No, that's definitely a myth. Look at just about every female officer anywhere ever. How many of them over 5'9"? Very few. Naperville PD, the show. Nah, I've never seen it. Kitty Khan says, Tommy, I love your channel. Watch at least once a day, usually more. Just got my offer of employment with the local sheriff's office and can't wait to pick up the academy soon. Awesome. Congratulations. William Ingalls says, I know you carry a TQ, but in New York State, we just had a cop discharge his back up into his femur while driving, rolled his car, and died from bleeding out. Holy crap. Always carry a tourniquet and know how to use it. Anthony Cornwall says, is being 360 pounds a dangerous weight of obesity for someone who is 6'1"? I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you that if you're 360 pounds, you have to think very seriously about being able to get medical attention in a hurry if you need it. And the older you get, the bigger of a concern that should be. Allegiance Holsters says, you would post this as I'm about to go get tacos. Hey, there's nothing wrong with tacos. Just not constantly. It sucks not being able to gain weight, though. Hey, there's products for that, man. There's products for that. They're called tacos, Mountain Dew. You can get weight gainers. I've never needed weight gainers, but I know they exist. My brother-in-law is like super skinny, always had problems building muscle his whole life. Man, I look at a steak after lifting weights for 20 minutes and I start gaining weight. All right, so that's it. I gotta head to work. 15 minutes is like a sweet spot for a YouTube video. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. 58 people watching. This is great. Again, links for new products coming out down in the description. The Hayek's Duty Boot video is coming out in like 2 hours. As soon as I know people are getting out of school, we're going to put that out. So until next week, actually till in like a couple hours, you guys be safe. Take care of each other.